Anyone? No? Who here is happy with the way things have been going for the past 3 years? Anyone? How about 6 years? No? We go back maybe even 10? How about 10 years? Things been going good for 10 years? Then why are we doing the same thing we've been doing for 10 years? Here's some fantastic PCOs here saying, look, we are the people. We're the people of the party, and we're going to get together, we're going to hear our candidates, and we're going to let the people decide. That's what our founding fathers stood up for. That's what I'm standing up for. Each and every one of you has a voice. First off, let me make a confession. I think I'm part of the problem and have been for a number of years. Because for a number of years, my vote was only worth 2 days of investigation on the ballot box before I checked that box for an hour. For years I did that. I thought I was doing my job. And all of a sudden I look around and like, well, gee, I've been doing my job. Why isn't things getting better? What's been going on here? So 2 years ago, I started this publication called The Pamphlet with my family. We were sick and tired of this thing called the 1619 Project, trying to reinvent our history. And here's the interesting thing, what I found. I don't know my history. None of us do. They don't teach it anymore. I discovered the story of a 16-year-old little girl called Sybil Luddington who rode twice as far as Paul Revere. Not to minimize Paul, stand-up guy. But what little girl out there wouldn't like to hear the story of a 16-year-old girl who saved the nation? Are we teaching our history yet? No, we're not. Who wouldn't like to hear that voting used to include women and black people way back in the beginning of our country? Are we teaching that? We're not. New Jersey had one of the most open states in the country in our first government. And we don't talk about that. We let people tell us that we have some sort of privilege because of who we are. Well, I don't know about you, but I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. I grew up in a broken home. 12 hours after graduation, I was on the plane to basic training for a new life. And then I had some guy screaming and yell at me, and I was going, what the heck did I do? But before I get off on that, I want to say thank you for all those who have served. In every one of these forums, in every one of the 7 counties that I go to, there is always a Marine. All you Army people, please stand up. The Marines are making us look bad.
Airborne.
All right, aerosol for me, but thank you very much. But here's the challenge. They've been dividing us for 3 years, if not more. They've been telling us to sit down, shut up, stay home. These are our politicians on both sides of the aisle. Now let me set them straight. Article 1, Section 1 of our Constitution says that all political power is inherent in people. That means if I don't have the power to tell you to sit down, shut up, stay home, and stick this in our arm, neither does the government. And if we don't have representatives that don't understand that, the answer is no. You're not my person. For anyone who tells you, well, look, there's only 2 on the ballot, you got to choose one. The answer is no. Don't settle. There's something called a write-in. And your conscience dictates that you must choose the best person for the job. And if that person's not on the ballot, then you go to Steve. Say, Steve, I think you're good, I'm writing you in. You should sign up. Why? Because Steve's better than the choice they gave us. You PCOs are doing the right thing here. You're telling the leadership, look, you're trying to shut us down and tell us who we're going to vote for, and we're telling you no. You're doing it right. You deserve a round of applause. I wish this was happening in the 7th. I honestly did. There are 2 legislators and a senator for every single district. Want to know how many people challenged in the 7th? Any one of them besides me? None. Everyone must be happy, right? In 7 counties in this state, the largest legislative district in the state, the 11th largest in the country, everyone's happy? Are you kidding me? First off, they need to do like you guys. They need to say, hey, you know what? The leadership is not representing my needs. Why is it that we have legislators that are voting for racist hair? Conservatives. Let's talk about that for just a moment. Number one, I grew up in a period of time when I could make fun of somebody else's haircut. Really could. It's called free speech. We have freedom of speech. It doesn't make me racist because I think you do your hair funny. Maybe you have good taste and I'm the one that doesn't have that good taste. But we all have something called freedom of speech. There's this thing that they say is hate speech. Well, let me introduce you to something called the Founding Fathers. Before you decide what hate is, first you need to understand that people have the right to be stupid. They have the right to hate. Is it despicable? Absolutely it is. But that's where we need to shine. Because we know you cannot legislate morality or you get no credit for doing anything good. So if you have an entire government that legislates your entire life what you should and should not do, number one, they don't know the Constitution, regardless of what party they are. And number two, they're enslaving you. How many regulations do we have?
9 billion.
Can't even count. Every one of us commits some sort of infraction along the way every year, and we don't even know it. In our own property, in our own way, we could be digging and planting a tree, and oh my gosh, you should have called somebody for a permit. Here's a $3,000 fine. Is that liberty? Is that freedom? Is that constitutional? No. But where are your representatives? Not just representatives in name, your sheriffs, your committees, everybody. If the first words out of their mouth are not we the people in Constitution, dump them. I'm tired of the R's that I vote for that go up there and turn around and say, well, can't do anything about it. I'm an old infantry soldier. When I was told to climb that hill, I didn't look and say, you know, sir, that's a big hill. I can't do anything about it. So why are we electing people to do that? I don't want to hear out of the words of somebody's mouth, I can't do anything about it. You don't understand the regulations. You don't understand this. First off, you don't need a bill in Olympia to get something done. Period. The only bills we need in Olympia is to repeal all the stupid ones that have been going on for decades. We spend over $18,000 per child in this state, and every time we give more money, our test scores drop. So the answer is give more money? No. I propose that that money goes to the parent to decide where it goes. Instead of funding a failing institution who's trying to groom our children, take our children away and turn them into hating bigots, why don't we give that to the moms? How many moms would be able to sit home and say, honey, I'm going to homeschool these 3 kids at $18,000 a child? Do you think mom would be working 4 jobs to keep her kids in school, to keep them in daycare, and never see their children? No. We are doing this the wrong way. Every time we put more money into homeless, what happens? More homeless. So the answer is not money, it's leadership. The answer is not government. When did government ever make a good nanny? Never. When did government make a good church? Never. When did government make a good steward of our money in my 50 years of life? Never. So why are we doing the same things that we have been doing over and over and over again? Stop electing the same people if you're having the same problems. I'm sure they're nice people. But do they talk about the Constitution? Do they talk about our founding fathers? Do they talk about my buddies who never made a home? Do they value those lives that were given for our liberty and for our freedom? Do they have a clue? Or is their popularity more important than your liberty? Is their voice, their influence, their power more important than your freedom? You need to ask different questions. I need to ask different questions because the questions we've been asking for years isn't working. A's and R, you better vote for them. How many people have we done that with? When President Trump was elected and he had a clear mandate with all those R's, did we get Obamacare repealed? No. Did we get anything? No. Instead, they fought the man. Why? Because he's not controllable. Now, he's not a perfect man. I'm not going to say he's a saint. That's not my business. It's up to a personal relationship between him and his God. And that's the only thing that they need to worry about. That's not my business. Did he deliver? He sure tried. Put some stupid people around him, but hey, that's a businessman. I'm a former businessman. I get it. Hey, you need to put the people who know what to do in charge. Okay, didn't work out for him. If he gets it the next time, he better not pick the same people. We better not pick the same people. We need to take a look at what we have been doing, because the fault is ours too. Did we just give 2 days worth of thought to our vote and 2 years later we come back to it? I'm guilty. We have a role in this. How many town hall meetings have we been to? How many county commissioner meetings have we gone to? How many meetings have we gone to over the past 2 years? You know, when I go to these meetings, you want to know what I see? I see a bunch of people who feel rather entitled because nobody shows up to put them in check. We're not doing our job. We need to go to that meeting and say, hey, Steve, I know that you're trying to fund that road and it's got some fire suppression built into it, and you've got 3 rentals on that street. You need to recuse yourself. Because if you're not there, they're going to vote how they want to vote. We're not doing our job. Here's what I want each one of you guys to do. I want you to go through your voting pamphlet, and I want you to get the telephone numbers of every one of these representatives across the board, whether it's your county clerk, your sheriff, whoever it is. If they're not willing to give you the time of day now and talk to your questions during election, what makes you think that they're going to be there after? If they're not doing it now, when are they? I'm busy. You know what? I'm a pig farmer. I got 40 pigs on the ground. I had pigs in the middle of the night last night. Not me personally, but my sow did. And this morning as I'm getting ready to go to the Apple Fest, I had a pig get out. And I was dressed nicely. I got my bad boots still on because I didn't have time to switch. But the point is, it still showed up. Showing up is half the battle. For those representatives that don't show up, for those people running for office who don't show up, what? Who do you represent? I'll tell you who they represent, because I spent the past several months since May going around 7 counties to small businesses. Hey, have you met the incumbent? No. Hey, have you met the incumbent? No. Hey, have you met the incumbent? No. Hey, have you met the incumbent? Yes. Whoa, cool. How much you make a year? $32 million. Okay. Who are they representing again? Who's the people hurting the most right now? The guy that makes $32 million and owns a big car lot? Dow Chemical? Johnson & Johnson? Look at where the money is in the campaigns. I haven't taken a single dime from a big corporation, and I won't. I won't represent them. I refuse. You know who I'm going to represent? You, every good Washingtonian here who wants a representative. That's my job as a representative. Exxon Valdez does just fine all by itself. These companies do fine. They've got $1 million lobbyists, attorneys, everything else. They'll get what they can get. You know who doesn't have somebody on their side? You. And it's been that way for a sad time. There are some good representatives. I'm not going to say that there are none, and I don't mean to generalize like that. But I'll tell you, it's about 5 to 10%. And that's about it. And that's a nice start, because it's not zero. There are some good people, some of them here, fighting for you today. And they're really trying. That being said, my first and primary thing that I'm going to stand for, and that I stand for now, is the right for parents to raise their children in their own way, in their own religion, with their own culture, and with their own curriculum. If we cannot agree that parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives, what the heck are we fighting for? Nothing else matters. You can have a chicken in every pot, but you can't have your kids. Forget it. I got kids from 30 to 1. Between my wife and I, we got 8. Hers, mine, and ours. Now, I've seen a vast difference between the first batch, who I turned over to the school system and now won't talk to me because I'm some sort of cultist because I believe in God. My younger ones, I decided to pull out and homeschool them because I saw them teaching all sorts of over-sexualization and stuff. And all of a sudden, my teenager decides to join Turning Point USA as a president. All I had to do was turn her loose with our history. And she figured out for herself that she has a role to play. They didn't teach that in school. But we as parents need to teach that for our children. So my number one thing out of everything that I'm running for is for our children. Because look around here in every political event you go to. How old is everybody? Old. I'm 50. I'm like one of the young ones, okay? I don't mean this in a bad way, but look, we have a country to save. We have 2-3 generations of people to wake up, to embrace, to bring into our party. Because if they don't go here, and if our leadership is not willing to get on the Constitution bandwagon, somewhere else there's going to be another party come along that says, you know what? I believe in the Constitution and God, and that's all I believe in. Well, sign me up. Because right now the Republicans say they're conservative, and I'm running on a conservative ticket. The only opposition that I have had is not the Democrats. It's leadership in the Republican Party. And everywhere I go, I see leadership standing in the way of good, godly, constitutional people. And I know that you guys aren't in my district, but you guys are doing the right thing here. These PCOs are being brave. These PCOs are saying, we are the party. And that's the truth of it. We own this country, not them. And until we start electing people that understand that servants are the leaders that we require, we're going to be electing people that want to make us slaves. And I say no. So thank you guys so much for showing up, because the future does belong to everyone who shows up. And if you don't show up, you can't fight. And if you're not fighting, hand out your hands and let them put the cuffs on because you're slaves. You guys are it. Get your children, get your grandchildren, get your friends, get your neighbors. Forget about all the partisan things to say, hey, let's talk about this thing called the Constitution. Let's talk about your rights, your liberties, and your responsibilities to protect them. And when we do that, and we do more of this, we will take this country back. Thank you.